And now, it's time for another Dice Tower review with Tom Vasel.
Hey folks, I'm Tom Vasel, and today we're taking a look at Monsterlands. Now, Monsterlands, when it came in, I was like, wow, look at how many components are in this game. And it's worker placement, and there's dice, and there's slaying of monsters, and the artwork looks amazing. The whole thing, I know it's a Kickstarter thing with a lot of production, and I'm always a little, nervous about those, but this one looked really well done, and it just looked like there was a lot of meat and stuff inside this game, a lot of cool things to do. Let's take a closer look. At the beginning of the game, each player is going to get a pair of mercenaries picked from a group, and you're going to take two mercenaries with the same colors. One is going to be your chief, so let's say I take these two. So I have Koldar, and he'll come over here, he'll be my chief, and then Scarred over here, he'll be my first mercenary. You will get a token matching each of those because you might send these guys out on missions. And you also have a glory token here, and then your reputation. Your reputation's at a 1, your glory's at a 5. At the end of the game, you're going to add those two together, and that's going to be the base for your score. You also get points for killing monsters and for completing missions over the game, but a lot of your points are going to come right here from your glory and reputation. Now, at the beginning of each round of the game, and I should pause here to mention that I'm not going to go over every rule of this game in exquisite detail. I just want to give you kind of a basic overview of the game. But in each round of the game, you're going to be getting a dice pool based on your mercenary. So this guy gives you a red and a purple. And this guy gives you a yellow. And because my glory is on the first track, I will also get a red. So I'm going to get these 4 dice, 2 reds, a yellow, and a purple. It doesn't matter with the reds and the purple, but you will immediately roll your yellow die. So here I happen to have a yellow die of 4. Then taking turns, each player is going to be placing their dice out here on this board. Now they can place their dice in town. When you place your dice in town, you're going to get some sort of benefit. Now, many of these things are going to cost coins. Players will start with coins, and they'll have ways to get more coins as the game goes by. When you play a yellow die, you will get a discount of that many coins. So, for example, if I want to go here to this top spot where I need to place a red or a yellow die, so I place a yellow one here. These are traps that I can buy. This gives me a discount of 4. So you might say, well, wait a minute, that means if you roll high on a yellow, you have a better chance. Well, that's true. However, once a yellow die is on the board, if someone places a yellow die that's lower than that die, so in this case, you can see that someone placed a 1 here, that person not only gets the discount of that one, but the dice that are higher before it. So that person would get a discount of 5. So if you go here, you can buy a trap. These traps are going to be able to be used in combat to give you extra dice, cancel opponent's dice, or like this one gives you +2 to each of your purple dice. You can also go to this place here, you put purple dice here, to take 3 potions or 2 potions, healing potions or poison potions. You can put a red or a yellow die here to hire more people. And you can also pay 2 coins to wipe all the people next to the board. These are more mercenaries. They will increase your pool as the game goes by. So let's say I buy this guy for 4. I would also get his token that comes with him. And he gives me an extra purple die, and he also lets me re-roll die. Everyone has special abilities. He gives me 3 reputation. Now here's the rule. You can't have more mercenaries than your reputation can handle. Your reputation can never go above your glory. So him adding 3 to my reputation is not a big deal, right? Because he goes up there 4. My glory is a 5. I could even hire someone else who only adds 1 to my reputation. And in fact, you can always go here and hire a novicius, and they just give you an extra die and a couple extra things. So you can always go hire these guys if all else fails. Other places you can go here and buy basically defensive things. So you can buy 1 for 2 or 3 for 6 with a red or yellow die. You can put as many dice as you want here to get a coin for each one. You can go to this spot with a red or yellow die to buy equipment. Remember, the yellow dice will give you a discount. Each of your characters can have 1 of each type. So there are weapons, armor, and potions or magic items, and these will give you some sort of benefits. Like this one gives you +1 on all your red dice. This lets you re-roll 2 yellow dice. This gives you a single +3 to your purple attack. And then finally in town, you can also go here and put some red dice. Here you have to put 2 of them together. You get 6 coins. Here you go to, and you get coins from going to that spot. So that's where you can go in town. Now what you're wanting to do is you're wanting to fight monsters. So you can see there are 2 monsters that are attacking the village here at the very top, or you can go out and fight these monsters. Each monster is randomly paired with a land that you can conquer too. If they match, like these 2 fire ones here, then that monster is going to be rolling an extra die. If I want to go out and fight a monster, I'll put one of my mercenaries in these spots, and I will take dice. Now the dice that you take, there's a random bar there. The dice that you take, you must take at least the top. So I must take at least 2 red or purple dice. And then I can bring 2 more purple dice. So let's say this is later on in the game, and I actually have 2 reds and 2 purples. So I'll put those 2 reds and 2 purples there. I can also take a trap token if I have one. Everyone starts with a basic generic trap token, and so I put that down here. And I could put other tokens, like the shield tokens here if I want to. This spot also gives me a shield, a free shield, a free block against the enemy. Now, multiple people can go to these columns. When you go here, after everyone is done placing, you will be fighting, starting with the column on the left. That person's going to first get attacked. The monster is going to attack you with dice, and this one actually is pretty good because you get +1 to your red dice against him, but he's going to roll 3 black dice, and the monster will hit you on a 3 or higher. So that's pretty deadly stuff. So let's say he attacks me here. He does 2 hits. Well, the first hit would wound me. The second hit would kill me. Fortunately, I can block one of those hits with the shield. And secondly, I may have brought a potion along with me. You can bring a potion to kind of stop yourself from getting a hit. You can also bring poison to do additional damage to the monster. If you survive, then you'll roll your dice. Now, I'm trying to get a total of what? Well, you can either try to capture the monster, for which I need a 15 or higher, or to kill the monster, which I need 22 or higher. Also, to capture a monster, you need to have played a trap token so that you can trap them. They each have different rewards. They'll move your glory up 2 or 5 points. And this one will give you 6 coins, and this one gives you a monster pelt, which can be worth extra points at the end of the game, or you can trade them in for money if you're desperate. So let's say I roll here, and I got 8, 10. Well, that is a failure. I did not kill the monster. However, I did 10 damage worth of damage to the monster, so if someone else was here, they could fight the monster after me and maybe have an easier time of killing it. Once the monster is dead, then the next ones have a chance to roll dice and conquer the land here. So yeah, I didn't come close. But eventually, you can either capture or kill the monster and you get the rewards. If you die, you get at least the glory points of where you were standing. If you don't die, but you don't kill the monster, on your way home, you just loot the land or something, and you can take one of these tokens, which will give you some sort of bonus like, hey, 12 coins, or an extra 6 next time I try to kill a monster, or next time I trap a monster, I get 3 points, or 2 to all my red dice. So they're good tokens, but probably not as good as killing the monster. So there's 2 spots to go and fight monsters, or conquer land. Then there's also these smaller missions you can go on. Each of these has a requirement. These are going to be randomly drawn from a pile of tiles. You always have an A mission, which 2 people can go to. They both are required to bring a certain number of dice. Here, 3, red or yellow. That it's a target number you need to reach. If you succeed, that's your reward. If you fail, that's your punishment. If there's more than one person trying to get it, then only the higher person is going to get the reward, and the second highest person is just going to get 2 coins. On this one, you don't have to roll. You simply need to put 2 red dice and pay whatever it says here. Here it happens to be a potion. And then you get the reward based on which side you went on. Finally, if nobody kills the monster, the monster is going to come down here and attack the enemy gates. So you can always go out there and fight a monster like you normally would with the same thing, except you can have a lot more dice. And then there's going to be a lot of changing between the rounds of monsters and lands, and things will be refreshed, and you'll go through, and you're going to continue over 6 rounds. And if you'll notice, in rounds 3, 4, 5, the monster gets extra dice. In 6, they get an extra 2 dice. You can make this easier or harder if you so desire. Or the game will end when one person's glory gets to 30 points here. And I've already mentioned how you score. Whoever has the most points is the winner. There's some different modules and things that you can add, but that's basically the gist of how the game works. There's a lot of cool artwork in the game. I think everything is unique. All the different pictures of all the different characters. So there's all kinds of very exaggerated characters in the game. The symbology is pretty good for the most part, although I did have to look up what a lot of special abilities are. Once you figure out how the symbology works, it's not that hard. And if you have the Kickstarter stuff, which I have in this box, there's you have these whole charts where you just look them up to see what they do. I ended up having to look up the monsters more than anything else. But again, like I said, I really like the artwork of the lands especially. This is really cool. When you buy a new mercenary, you got to kind of go through the pile of mercenaries and look for the right one that matches it. Fortunately, they're the same color. That might be a little bit of a pain in the neck. But other than that, it's cool. The board is not as big as I thought it would be, but then there's all these cards placed around it. And the dice are very good quality. I like the dice for this. I like the coins. I like the potions. It's very overwhelming when you look at it. Like, oh man, look at all these symbols and things. But once you get the grasp of how the game goes, how yellow dice are rolled and placed in town, purple and blue dice are only rolled in battle and combat and such, it starts to come together. You have spots here on your board, and this is how many traps you can have, how many of each of the potions, how many of the defensive tokens you can have. It works pretty well. I think the component quality for this game is really good, actually. Huzzah! I liked it. I was a little nervous, when I was going over it. There's a lot of rules to this game, but they're not as complicated as you might think. I mean, you are literally you get your pool of dice, put out some dice, and then take the actions that you're going to have. So you put out the dice, and you might get, in town, you're getting some gold, or, you're going to get some equipment or hire some more mercenaries. Now, as I said, there's a lot going on. When you look at the game, it's like, whoa. So there's a few small problems. Maybe one is analysis paralysis. Some people are going to be overwhelmed. You can go hire a hero. Which hero would you like to hire? You can go get some equipment. What equipment? What hero would you like to put that equipment on? Or would you like to get some armor? Or would you like to get some potions? Or do you want some more gold? Or do you want to just send your guy out? And if you send him out, which position do you send him out? Which dice do you send with him? Do you send a potion with him and poison with him or not? That's a lot of different choices, and I love it. I love all those choices. But someone who has analysis paralysis, and that might be overwhelming, and for one thing, you may not want to play the game with that person. And also, there's some luck in the game, too. Sometimes you roll the dice when you're fighting a monster, it just doesn't work out. Not only that, you set it up for the next person. But I think the game mitigates that to some degree by if your character dies, well, you get some points for that at least. And it's not too hard to hire another guy to take their place. If your person lives but doesn't kill the monster, at least on your way home you get some sort of bonus prize. It's not maybe as good as it's not as good as killing the monster, but it's still enough to feel like you're still getting something. And if you kill the monster, well, hooray. And it gives you some good choices. Do you want to go to the first spot, which is the best spot to kill the monster, but that second spot usually gives you some sort of defense. Maybe I want some defense, and maybe let you soften the monster up, but then if you kill the monster, then I'll conquer the land. But maybe I don't have enough dice or the right dice to conquer the land. Will I take the traps with me? What traps do I want to get? And I love this whole mix of choices. Now, as I said, the components for this game are top-notch. There's really cool things, artwork, and again, there's a lot going on, and it took us a while to, each monster come up, so I'm looking it up. Okay, how does this monster work? But the armor and the characters, I can take a look at those now and just say, that's what that does, that's what that does. It's not, there's a lot of symbology, but it's not as complex as I feared when I first started playing. But like I said, there's that luck in fighting the monsters, but I think that kind of evens out over the course of the game and gives rewards if you mess it up too. So this game feels like an in-depth game. I got worker placement, I got this cool pool of dice, I get to decide where to put the dice, which dice to go where. I'm trying to build up to go on these missions. It almost feels like an advanced version of Champions of Midgard. Now don't get me wrong, Champions of Midgard, very streamlined, great game. I don't think this reaches those heights. This has more going on, but it's not as streamlined as you might want it to be. But that being said, there's some flashes of greatness in here. The yellow dice mechanism is amazing. You roll a 6, it's like, yeah, I get a 6 discount and stuff. I roll a 2, I'm like, sure, you get a 6 discount. Now give me that 8 discount when I put my 2 after your 6. And you're like, well, I'm not putting the 6 out until the very end. Well, great, then how are you going to know which, you need to hire that mercenary to send out on that mission. If you don't hire him, you can't send him out. And so there's some cool ideas on how to place the dice. That yellow thing is really neat, and I wouldn't mind seeing something like that used in another game. That's like a brilliant moment in Monsterlands. The rest of it is a little bit by the book as you're placing guys out, getting things. But it has this kind of epic feel. The monsters feel like giant behemoths that you got to go and destroy and get glory. And the whole glory reputation track is also a nice little touch in the game as that moves up. And just as your dice pool grows each turn, just a lot of cool stuff. So definitely very strong thematic game. Seems to play just as well with 2 as in 4. In fact, with 2 and 4, you'll very rarely have monsters attack your town because you're killing them most of the time. In 3, there's 2 monsters and you may not kill one every turn. So then they get to the gates. But even then, you go to the gates and it's like last-ditch effort. Fight off this monster. Just neat. Tons of decisions. And if you go to a spot and I was like, I was going to go there, but here's another spot I'm going to go to instead. That's the kind of worker placement game that I really enjoy. A lot of fun. Monsterlands. Dice Tower Judgment approved.